I thank you, Honourable Presiding Member. I would like to start my intervention by referring to the Honourable Minister, Professor G.L. Piris, where he made quite a passionate plea pointing to the fact that these amendments propose to improve the present Act, and he pointed out to certain particular issues, which is basically day-to-day trials, and also the fact that magistrates can visit prisons, detention centers, and thereby, if he so feels that there are signs of torture, then a JMO can be asked to examine, and thereafter various stipulations have been provided. Now, with regards to these two elements that amendments that he pointed to, and trying to make out that those are fairly significant improvements which will lead to a significant shortening of hopefully the detention period, and also to in some way deter torture. The whole thing lies on whether these amendments are in fact practical. Now, there are provisions already in law, in the Constitution. For example, if you take the fundamental rights petitions, you have to bring it within 1 month. And then, if I am not mistaken, Honourable Minister, the FR matters have to be concluded under the Constitution within a year. But those don't happen. We all know that unless it is an important matter that is in the public eye and has caught the attention of the entire country, these matters get dragged on. Not over a year, it gets dragged on for years. Day-to-day matters, there have been even trial at bars, which ideally should sit day-to-day, but in practical sense that has been shown to be not practical, and instead it's almost always observed in the breach. Magistrates can already, there are provisions for them to visit police stations, but the fact of the matter is that magistrates just don't do that. In reality, they don't have the time to do it, and even if they do, let's assume that they do, then we once again have to rely on whether our current system is going to be fair, whether our current system has not been corrupted to such an extent that there won't be discrimination. And the reality, Honourable Presiding Member, is when Sri Lanka was investigated by the Human Rights Council and the OISL report came out, the then High Commissioner, Prince Zaid, when he in fact presented the report to the Human Rights Commission, had a press conference and he made this observation. He said, in recommending a hybrid accountability system for Sri Lanka and rejecting a domestic investigatory mechanism, domestic criminal justice system, he said that because of the conflict, because of the ethnic conflict, the law and order and judicial mechanism in this country has been so corrupted. And what he meant by corrupted is along ethnic lines, that there are biases, there is discrimination so embedded in the whole system that an internal investigation or an internal judicial justice process was not something that is going to be credible. And that is what we are left with today. Because unfortunately, even so many members, both in opposition also, when they spoke, when you talk in terms of national security, what does this national mean? Does that national mean that it is only for the Sinhalese people's security? Does national mean that it is only for a certain section? Or does it in fact mean for everybody? And if it means for everybody, or your honorable presiding member, then surely it cannot be determined purely on majoritarian terms. It cannot be purely just because a majority of the members of this house want something. That surely cannot be national. Because if national means that there are several identities within that polity, as we say that Sri Lanka is a multinational country, that there are 2 or more nations within this country, then each of those people's views must also be accepted. So the question here fundamentally is that you have violence against the state. No one denies that. You have violence against the state because this state excludes. This state consistently provides for only a section and rejects the other. There is no inclusiveness. When we talk of mandates, the Northeast has repeatedly given mandates regarding how we want to see this country. Those mandates have not called for secession. Those mandates have not called for taking up arms. On the contrary, those mandates consistently have asked not to take up arms before. Leaders who have come to this house and the house previously have asked the Tamil people to reject not only separation but also violence, but have asked members opposite and members from the Sinhala community to include our views. Make this inclusive. That is where you fail. You consistently fail, and you're failing even today. So when you keep us out, and when we feel that no matter how much our people give resounding mandates, and I can tell you the mandates that are being given by the Tamil people in the Northeast is far.
Remember, you have 2 more minutes.
I have 9 minutes. Is far greater and far stronger than the mandate that this present government has with regards to a plurinational country that we want to be seen, with regards to a federal country that we want to be seen. When members who are sitting here, who represent such people, come here and hit our heads against a brick wall, and when members on the ground, when our party, when our constituency on the ground consistently get disenfranchised, when their religious places are being stolen from them, when their land is being stolen from them, when their existence is being denied them, when there are lands that they plowed for decades and decades before the war, because of the war they get displaced. When they return, all of a sudden they are told that it's a forest. But people from other ethnicities that don't belong to that area can in fact destroy the forest and can plow that land. What do you expect them to do? But that is what is happening even now. Even now, the Honorable Prime Minister, when he visited Jaffna, he had a lot of opposition. That opposition today is non-violent. That opposition today is trying to get your attention, despite the fact that they have been destroyed, despite the fact that they have been put behind bars under the PTA, their own relatives behind bars. Even today again they are voicing their opposition. They are voicing it, but in a democratic and a non-violent way. But how long can you expect them to keep voicing and hitting their heads on a brick wall? Sri Lanka has to transform. If Sri Lanka does not transform, then Sri Lanka will never recover. Today there is a diaspora, there is a Tamil diaspora. That diaspora lives by no stretch of imagination the richest countries in the world. That diaspora together earns more than the Sri Lankan state. If that diaspora decides to contribute in a constructive way, today Sri Lanka won't be in this economic mess. But you rather not have those people come in and contribute in a constructive way, because why? because of your racist vision of what Sri Lanka ought to be. If Sri Lanka can be plural, if Sri Lanka can in fact say, hey look, we celebrate our differences. The fact that you go to the northeast and people talk
Thank you, Honourable Minister.
differently,
Member. Thank you.
that they behave
Please wind up.
differently, is something that is good for this country. If you can say that, and if you can say that all parts of this country, no matter how different they are, we celebrate it, but we are also united, then things can change. I ask the Sinhalese people,
Please wind up.
I
Thank
ask
you.
the Sinhalese people, you have been lied to. You have been lied to consistently. You have been lied to about what the Tamils are about.
Thank you.
You have
Next
been,
speaker.
I'm winding up, sir. You have been
thank you.
lied to with regards to what your own leaders have said, what their intentions are.
Thank you.
Today they have made this country bankrupt.
Next speaker.
Not because of anything
I'm
else.
sorry, I had to stop
but
you.
because
I'm
of
sorry.
their greed. For God's sake, open
Next
your
speaker
eyes
is-
and transform Sri Lanka to make it inclusive.
Thank you.
That is the only way forward.
Thank you.